So for today's topic, you are going to be looking at Howard Carter, who we've heard a little bit about already this week. In particular, looking at the tomb of Tutankhamun. So what you need to do is come with me on a journey back in time to 1922. And this is the time when airplanes were very small and did not fly far. So it's not the same as being able to go to Egypt like now when we can just jump on a plane for a few hours. It was a much longer journey. So in order to go from Egypt to Britain, you had to go by ship, and it would take 2 whole weeks. So this is Howard Carter here. He was a British archaeologist working in Egypt. And over here is a man called Lord Carnarvon. And Lord Carnarvon was a rich Englishman with an interest in Egypt. He paid the bills for Howard Carter's work. So if you were to meet either Howard Carter or Lord Carnarvon, what questions would you like to ask them? So if you have a little pause the video here and just have a think, what questions might you want to ask them? So hopefully you had a chance to think about some questions you might have wanted to ask either of them, and perhaps on Google Classroom, if you could just type a little question to me that you might want to have asked either of them, that would be brilliant. I'll see what I could answer if I was pretending to be either of them. So the people of Egypt buried some of their greatest pharaohs in this Valley of the Kings. By 1922, archaeologists thought they'd found them all, but Howard Carter worked out that there was still one tomb left, that of Tutankhamun. Now, do you know what is a pharaoh? So if you just pause the video here, you just have a little think, what is a pharaoh? Okay, so I wonder how many of you know already what a pharaoh is. So pharaoh, pictured here, pharaohs were the king or queen of Egypt. Most pharaohs were men, but some well-known pharaohs, such as Nefertiti and Cleopatra, were women. The pharaoh was the most important and powerful person in the kingdom. He or she was the head of government and high priest of every temple. The people of Egypt considered the pharaoh to be a half man, half god, and the pharaoh owned all of Egypt. So early morning on the 3rd of November 1922, in a hot and dusty valley in Egypt, Egyptian workers were searching, digging away sand and stones. They didn't hold out much hope at all. But a young boy crouched a few feet away. His job was to fetch water to the workers. He sat digging in the sand with a stick. Suddenly he hit a hard surface. He dug furiously and found a stone step. He stared at it, then covered it over and ran to tell Howard Carter what he'd found. Carter ordered the workers to clear away the sand. Gradually they found 12 more steps. Then they found the top part of a door made of brick and plaster. On the door was a stamp. This meant the tomb was royal and it was intact. So Carter ordered the workers to cover the steps over again so nobody else would find the tomb. He sent a telegram to Lord Carnarvon in Scotland asking him to come at once. Carnarvon and his daughter, Lady Evelyn, arrived at the town of Luxor 2 weeks later and met Carter. So does anyone know what is a telegram? What is a telegram? So hopefully you pause the video there. A telegram is actually a form of communication. So this was in 1922, this was before phones and before emails, anything like that. So a telegram was a way that people could communicate over large distances. So the next day, Howard Carter asked the workers to break down the door. They found a passageway blocked by rubble. Clearing them away, they found a second door. Carter took an iron bar and made a tiny hole in the top left-hand corner. The bar passed through so the passage was clear. Carter took a candle and put it up to the hole to test for dangerous gas. Then he widened the hole and looked in. At first he saw nothing, then his eyes adjusted. "Can you see anything?" asked Lord Carnarvon. "Yes," replied Carter, "wonderful things." Both Carter and Lord Carnarvon were desperate to take a closer look, but Egyptian rules said no. Archaeologists had to have permission to dig in Egypt. They had to have an inspector with them when they first went in. Frustrated, they closed up the hole and left one of the workers on guard. Then they got on their donkeys and rode back to Carter's house. Unable to wait, later that same night, Carter returned to the tomb. He made the hole bigger and they squeezed through one by one and dropped onto the floor. They found themselves in a small room. Over 3,000 years had passed since anyone had last entered. They saw a fingerprint left on the painted surface of an oil lamp. The smell of perfume still filled the air. On one side of the room were 2 statues. The statues stood opposite each other as if on guard. Carter realised they marked a sealed up entrance to another room. Eventually, Howard Carter found a funerary chamber behind the wall. Inside the chamber, he saw an astonishing sight. Its light... Sorry, I got distracted there. Inside the chamber, he saw an astonishing sight. Its light revealed a solid wall of gold. The wall belonged to a golden shrine. Inside the shrine was an enormous sarcophagus. So a sarcophagus is a stone coffin, kind of like you can see in the picture here. Trouble began when newspaper reporters from all over the world began to arrive. Carter said they were getting in his way and holding up the work. He decided to sell the exclusive rights to the Times newspaper. The Egyptians were furious. They said the tomb was in their country and Carter had no right to choose a foreign newspaper. The Egyptian Prime Minister told Carter to remember the tomb was not his. So that's the story of Howard Carter and the tomb of Tutankhamun. So what I would like you to do now is you are going to have a look at some research questions that I'd like you to find out. Okay, so this is just the start of it, but you'll see a couple of pictures and there'll be a little bit of text about Howard Carter, and then there's a few questions that I'd like you to answer. So who was he? What was his career and job? What did he do? And why was he famous? Okay, so you just need to type or write under the questions or next to the questions what you think the answer is. It should be in the little bit of text above, but if you'd like to do any extra research, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so yeah, complete that in Google Classroom. If you do more research and you find anything else out, then please, of course, yeah, you can put a little comment in there as well. Okay, good luck.